He fired from the water, 3 dead, 6 hurt, and then vanished into the night. What was he shooting for, and why did he choose a waterside pub? On September 27, 2025, there were shots fired at the American Fish Company in Southport, North Carolina. This was not a usual mass shooting, though. The killer had fired from a boat and then fled by boat. Over the next hour, you'll peel back layers of motive, chronology, and evidence. Ultimately, you'll learn how detectives traced a path from a tranquil harbor to a violent altercation on shore, and what remains unsolved. Stay close by. The story beginning on the water will pull you in deeply. Southport, NC, a quiet coastal town with famous riverwalks and quiet piers. A local icon is the American Fish Company, a seafood bar and restaurant that attracts locals and visitors. On the evening of September 27th at approximately 9:30 p.m. EDT, diners were taking in the harbor view and enjoying dinner when the unimaginable happened. When gunfire hit, 3 people were killed instantly. Joy Rogers, 64, local resident, Solomon Banjo, 36, visiting from Virginia, and Michael Durbin, 56, from Ohio. 6 others were wounded, 1 critically. Among the injured, locals, vacationers, and families simply out for a night. The shock stunned this close-knit town. How does one turn a peaceful evening by the water into a massacre? An unexpected hail of gunfire from the water. Mayhem, shouts, individuals crouching, breaking glass sounds, lives forever altered in a matter of seconds. Since the initial 10 minutes, authorities suspected it was not a random attack. Police termed it highly premeditated. Why? The suspect's boat had been anchored close to the bar the previous night, its lights extinguished, indicating surveillance. At the crime scene, police found several magazines, a suppressor-equipped assault rifle, and ballistic-tipped bullets. The suspect, Nigel Edge, was soon taken into custody. He was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and other weapons charges. The DA's office indicated that they would consider seeking the death penalty, but motive was unclear. Why target that particular bar? Why attack from a boat? And did he really work alone? Let's create the suspect's timeline. In the pre-shooting hours, surveillance and maritime information positioned a boat entering the intracoastal waterway just close to the bar. Detectives report Edge's incoming flight path shows he intended to fire straight across the waterline to strike near patrons in the vicinity of the building. At his vessel, police recovered ballistic evidence consistent with rifle rounds found in victims. The suppressor and magazines were concealed on the boat, showing preparation. The bar was a well-known spot with minimal waterfront protection, an easy target. 1 bullet from off the water sailed across boats, docks, and glass into the lives of unsuspecting victims. Those ballistic traces bond Edge to the crime. Shore witnesses had testified to a boat just off the shore, lights low, then sudden flames. Most first assumed fireworks or gunfire on land. A few guests reported hearing more than 1 burst, spaced apart, a sign of reloading. Others heard talk of suppressor muzzling. Contradictions arose. 1 patron testified to seeing a figure through trees. Another swore he heard shots on land. Prosecutors would later refer to these as red herring testimonies, efforts by initial witnesses to justify randomness. At the same time, authorities combed through nautical traffic logs, GPS pings, boat activity in the region, and radar. They combed through phone records, social media usage, and Edge's previous grievances or arguments that could account for targeting. A question for you before we get deeper into motive and confession. Was this shooting primarily about the location, i.e. the bar, or was Edge trying to strike specific victims inside? Drop your hypothesis in the comments. Location versus target. We'll revisit your ideas soon. Now let's move into motive, confession, and what Edge told investigators. Who is Nigel Edge? He was arrested and questioned. The prosecution accused pre-planning and surveillance, but motive was still speculative in the media. Various theories were floated: ideological beliefs, personal vendetta, previous altercation with a bar patron or staff, or mental instability. Police questioned Edge's history, criminal record, social media activity, relationships, business rivalry, or previous altercation in Southport or around. They also reviewed bar guest registers, reservations, and security tapes to determine if any of the victims were acquainted with him. To be sure, no motive had been established publicly at time of reporting. The deeper they went, the more they found holes. An artfully planned crime, but genuine motive was a secret in the public record, leaving the populace to speculate. Under questioning, Edge allegedly admitted to shooting the assault rifle. Prosecutors then stated they had elicited a confession. Formally charged, 3 first-degree murders, several counts of attempted murder, assault with intent to kill, and weapons charges. The DA's office assured they were pursuing maximum justice, including the death penalty. Bond was denied at Edge's first court appearance by video. The courthouse fight is just starting. Appeals, pretrial motions, psychiatric exams, evidence discovery, and defense filings. Police explored alternative suspects and lines of inquiry to make sure there were no loose threads. Could an intelligence source on shore have been used? Was there a second gunman or accomplice? Did Edge receive assistance docking, navigation, or surveillance? Some neighborhood residents said they noticed a second boat or heard other echoes of gunfire, although those assertions were never confirmed in public accounts. The noise, the darkness, and the pandemonium probably confused perceptions. Police also investigated if threats had been made against the bar or its customers beforehand. No legitimate threat had been reported publicly beforehand. With each alternative theory pursued and eliminated, the case continued to circle back to Edge and his preparation. The circle narrowed. Let's enumerate the prosecution case pillars. Ballistic match, bullets from victims to suspect's rifle, suppressor and magazines found on his boat, interrogation confession, surveillance records of boat travel and anchoring, lack of credible alternate suspects after reconsideration. These constitute the core of the story investigators will carry with them. In the trial to come, the prosecution, District Attorney John David and Assistant District Attorney Jenna Early at its helm, will introduce the timeline, ballistic evidence, surveillance records, and Edge's confession as a cohesive, damning argument. The central case is one of great premeditation and malice. Evidence will demonstrate that Edge, a combat veteran Marine, Purple Heart recipient, and gun owner who had served from 2003 to 2009, meticulously planned the attack days in advance. As confirmed by testimony from a boater, Edge was anchored outside the bar the night before the shooting, with his boat lights extinguished, strongly indicating reconnaissance. This deliberate stakeout negates any assertion of a crime of passion or spur-of-the-moment impulse. The prosecutors will outline his technique, driving a boat alongside the shore, pausing for a moment, and firing with a well-chosen suppressed AR-style rifle with scope. This weaponry and methodology choice reveal that he desired distance, maximum lethal power, and a quick escape, reducing resistance and maximizing the psychological shock on a community that felt secure behind its lakefront. They will contend he chose that particular bar due to its consistent clientele, lack of waterfront security, and the visibility of customers having fun and enjoying live music in the sunset. The defense will try to create doubt, and one of the major areas of focus for them will be Nigel Edge's severe mental health problems. They will introduce evidence that Edge, who changed his name from Sean de Beauvois in 2023, had a chronic post-traumatic stress disorder and a traumatic brain injury from combat in Iraq, which included a documented head injury. Edge himself reported to police that he had these problems. The defense will probably employ this to establish diminished capacity or attack the mens rea, criminal intent, necessary for first-degree murder by citing his history of filing several, occasionally outlandish suits against the local police department and his relatives, which his mother said were delusions and PTSD. But the forensic and physical evidence of the prosecution, the ballistic match, the suppressor that was recovered, the surveillance information, and the confession posed nearly insurmountable obstacles to the defense's approach. Ouse with the night, the water became a killing field. The crescendo, the point where prosecution weaves motive, method, and confession into one, condemning picture of Edge. Nigel Edge, if convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder and several counts of attempted murder, can expect one of 2 punishments under North Carolina state law: life in prison without parole or death. The Office of the District Attorney has clearly stated they are exploring the appropriateness of requesting execution, considering the heinous, premeditated, and indiscriminate killing of a crowd in a public place. The exact charge of 3 first-degree murders, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 charges of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, causing serious injury, highlight the gravity of charges. The court case will likely be long, with pretrial motions, mental health exams, and intricate discovery of evidence on Edge's military record and medical history. The result will be watched not only as to the legal significance it will have on a marine-to-land attack, but also for the ethical and legal significance of fully holding accountable a combat veteran with severe mental illness for an act of mass violence. While that happens, the fate of the victims' families and injured survivors is transformed forever. Joy Rogers, 64, a homeowner and dedicated wife, was remembered by her church and her husband Lenny as one who lived up to her name. Her spirit radiated joy, light, and kindness everywhere she went. Solomon Banjo, 36, a visitor to the city from Virginia who was born in Nigeria, was a loving husband, passionate cyclist, and a quick-witted individual who could recite Shakespeare. Michael Durbin, 56, an Ohio vacationer, was also killed instantly. 6 others were injured, 1 critically, although all 6 hurt victims have been discharged from the hospital. For Southport residents, the former peaceful, humble, historic port town is now inextricably linked with the night. The water was a killing field. In the wake of the tragedy, the response across Southport and surrounding areas was immediate and profound. The American Fish Company, a local landmark with a history stretching back to the 1940s as an old fish shack and fueling station, closed its doors until further notice. When it does reopen, the owner has promised increased security, including additional cameras and restricted waterfront access, reflecting a new reality for all businesses situated on the water. Local law enforcement, such as the Southport Police Department, the Oak Island Police Department, and the State Bureau of Investigation, SBI, have been lauded for their rapid coordination, especially the U.S. Coast Guard, whose rapid response resulted in Edge's capture at the public boat ramp on nearby Oak Island within about 30 minutes of the shooting. This quick action avoided further bloodshed, a fact Chief Coring emphasized when characterizing the assault as highly premeditated. The city observed vigil services and memorials for the victims, with hundreds assembling at the Southport waterfront to commemorate Joy Rogers, Solomon Banjo, and Michael Durbin. The disaster prompted local law enforcement authorities to utilize the case as a benchmark for formulating new guidelines in managing marine-to-land attacks, an unthinkable new frontier of risk previously that now affects all coastal communities. One of the most challenging and disturbing facts in the case is the dual identity of the suspect. Nigel Max Edge was named Sean Debevoise at birth. He had his name legally changed in 2023 due to his military-related post-traumatic stress disorder and lack of trust in his family, as he said he wished to feel more comfortable beginning my life in a different direction with a fresh name. To the complexity is added his memoir, Headshot, describing his charges against his wife, his past Marine platoon, and the VA trying to poison or injure him, a book that is incredibly hard to separate fact from product of his deep-seated mental illness. Edge's past life, which involved being a decorated Marine, Purple Heart recipient, and even a small-time celebrity who had guested with singer Kelly Pickler to an awards show in 2012, is in stark contrast to the man who had supposedly fired at a group of strangers. This juxtaposition points to the very question the jury will grapple with. How much had Edge's recorded psychological trauma led to or necessitated this heinous act? Here's the question hanging over all of this, honed by the peculiar facts of this case. How far will one go to spread terror, and how do we safeguard public places from unseen internal wars? When a murderer selects a boat, a silenced rifle, in the night, he is looking for distance, sureness, and a frightening, impenetrable power. That decision alters our conception of vulnerability. No place feels secure if someone is ready to cross over the boundary lines, water, land, to wage a private, internal war against the external world. This case is no longer about the American Fish Company. It's about the safety of every waterfront bar, park, and dock in coastal America. Now I'd like to know your opinion. Does the account of Nigel Edge's deep TBI, PTSD, and the delusions described in his memoir Headshot have a bearing on whether or not the prosecution should pursue the death penalty? Or should only the premeditated planning of the crime and the vile nature of the killings be the determining factor? Leave your response in comments. If this deep dive took you in, press subscribe and click the bell so you won't miss subsequent true crime deconstructions.